Started with graphing inequalities. We're only going to do 2 examples. Yep, you need a Chromebook. Go grab one if you don't have one. Couple reminders. If you have just greater than or just less than, remember that we're going to graph with a dotted line. Do you remember doing that? If you have an equal to situation, that's when we're going to graph with something that's solid. So just reminders on that. The other thing that we need to remember with these problems is that we need to shade.
Oh, yes, the shading.
We need the shading, and we're going to find test points to help us figure out where to shade. So shading is a must for these. We need to be careful with dotted or solid. So those are the new things that we're picking up. So the rest of the stuff should be the same as yesterday in terms of like what the graphs look like and how we type them in. Like all that should stay the same. What's new is the fact that we need to worry about solid or dotted and the shading. All right, here we go. So again, this was my mistake. I wanted you to make that into a greater than symbol, so it looks like the gator is eating the Y. Those should have been inequalities, and for some reason I had equals. So thank you for fixing that and switching it for me. All right, so let's go to our Chromebooks at this point, and we're going to type in that first equation. Hopefully my Chromebook has enough power because I didn't charge it last night. Okay. Do you see how the 2 is out front?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to type in my 2 because I need that first. And then remember, you want to click on the keyboard so the keyboard pops up and you have all these options. The keyboard's in the bottom left corner. And then you're going to click on the square root. Oh, whoops, I don't need 2 of them. 1 is plenty. And then what do I need to type in underneath? X. What? Plus 5. Okay. So I can see 2 points on my graph. Remember that I want to find a third one. So that's something that I'm going to do in just a second. So let me jot these down on a sheet of paper. So I have them already. So do you see how your first point is negative 5, 0?
Yeah.
So that point I have to have. That's a must. The rest I can pick whatever I'd like. I'm going to pick this one even though, yep, it's not the prettiest of points. So I'm going to go 0, comma, 4.5. Why did I do 4.5 instead of 4.4?
Just 7.
Because of the 7 we had to round up. Okay, and then I'm going to drag over here. You guys are better at finding the good points than I am. There should be a good point somewhere. Let's see. It should be at 4. I bet it's at 4.
4, 6.
Yeah, something like that.
4, 6.
Ooh, that was nice.
Yeah. And I'll tell you how I knew once I looked at the equation. Think about your equation for a minute. If you plug in 4, 4 plus 5 is 9. And is the square root of 9 nice? Yeah. So that's how you can figure it out too. You can think about numbers that would be nice square roots under here. All right, so negative 5, 0 was one of my points. 0, 4.5 when we rounded, and then 4, 6. So you need at least 3 points. And now we're going to graph. Before I graph, is this one going to be dotted or solid? Dotted. So let me write myself a little reminder note because, you know, we're kind of programmed to draw in solid lines. So we got to be careful here and make sure we do dotted. Okay. Negative 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Negative 5, 0. Over 0, up 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. Over 4, up 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, now I'm going to draw it in. I'm going to draw dotted. Hi, good morning. We're doing some graphing today. All right, what's my favorite test point?
0, 0.
Yeah, so we're going to pick 0, 0 and plug it in. The only time, remember, you can't pick 0, 0 is when it's actually on the line. So if 0, 0 works, I'm going to shade down here. if 0, 0 doesn't work, I'm going to shade up here. So you're going to either shade above or below. Now, do you see how to the left, before we do any of this, I'm going to draw in this line real quick. Do you see how there's no graph over here? So there shouldn't be any shading over here either. So I should only shade either above this curve or below it. I'm not going to shade anything over here. And if it helps you, you can X out that area to remind yourself, like, this isn't even part of the graph because there's no graph that lives over there. Okay, let's plug in 0, 0. I'm plugging in 0 for y. So it's going to say 0 is greater than, I've got my 2, and then I've got 0 plus 5. Okay, that's not going to come out nice, so I'm going to put that in my calculator. I don't know what that's going to be. It's going to be an ugly decimal. So do you see how I have 2? And then I have my square root. And in my square root, I have 0 plus 5. Ooh, I knew it was going to be ugly. 4.47. So this reads 0 is greater than 4.47. Ooh, is that true?
Yeah.
0 is bigger than 4.47?
No.
No. This was false. So am I going to shade where it is if it's false?
No.
No, I'm going to shade up top. And again, I'm not going to shade past that line. So you can draw that line in so you've got kind of that barrier so you remember, okay, don't shade past it. Let's try one more of those. Okay, so the next one you put in the less than or equal to symbol for me, because again, I should have had an inequality and did not. That is my mistake. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is go to our Chromebooks and type it in. So go to your Chromebook. And these were the ones people were having the most trouble typing in yesterday because we need to make the square root stop and people were forgetting. Alright, so we've got x minus 2. Do we agree the square root stops after the minus 2?
Yes.
Okay, so you need to hit your arrow to the right button. So the bottom right button, hit your arrow to the right button and that makes the square root stop. And then we need plus 3. Okay.
Funky, right?
Yeah, it kind of starts in a funny spot. We're not used to seeing it start in that sort of a location where we're in quadrant 1. Okay. Alright, so now, do you see how there are no points highlighted?
Yeah.
That kind of sucks. So I'm going to click on the line, and remember the first point I have to find is where it starts. Yeah, so 2, 3 is a must. Now, it doesn't matter what other points I graph, it doesn't even matter if they're nice, but 2, 3 is a must. So I'll start scrolling through. Oh, 3, 4 is nice. Let's go 3, 4. And then 6, 5. Oh, nice. I just came across that one too. 6, 5. So again, if you find nice ones, great. If you don't, remember that's okay too. And you can go ahead and just round. I know it's not our favorite, but it's something you can do. All right, 2, 3, 3, 4, 6, 5. Now notice we don't have to do domain and range here because we're not talking about just a graph. We're talking about like shading too. So there's no domain and range today. All right, over 2, up 1, 2, 3. Over 3, up 1, 2, 3, 4. Over 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, before I draw in my curve, solid or dotted?
That's solid.
Solid because there's an equal to. Yeah. Now, I'm going to draw myself my boundary again. Kind of like when you're a little kid and they say stay inside the lines.
Outside.
This is your boundary. Don't shade anything over here. There's no graph that lives over there. Now, do you see how 0, 0 is over there in that no area? Okay, so I'm going to have to pick a different point, which kind of stinks. I think I'm going to pick this one. Do you see how this point at least is 0 in terms of y.
Yes.
Okay, so in terms of x, it's at 1, 2, 3. So this is my test point right here. You can pick any test point you want. This one seemed the easiest to me because at least one of the numbers was still 0. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's practice using a test point that is unfortunately not 0, 0. Alright, remember this is x, this is y, so I'm going to plug it in. So I'm plugging in 0 for y. So 0 is less than or equal to. I'm plugging 3 in for x. Ooh, this one I can do in my head though. What do we know 3 minus 2 is? 1.
Plus the 3.
What do we know the square root of 1 is? 1. 1 plus 3 is 4. How do we feel about that statement? Is 0 smaller than or equal to 4?
Yes.
Yes. So this is true. If it's true, where do I shade?
And where?
Yeah, where it is. So I'm going to shade over all that work I just wrote in. Because I don't even need it anymore. It was a means to an end anyways, right? It helped me figure out where to shade. Okay. So you have 4 problems for your classwork homework. They're going to be almost identical. I think the biggest thing is remembering solid or dotted, and then picking the test point and shading correctly. Like those are our big key things here.